Good afternoon. I struggled with this topic today because it represents one of the most pressing issues facing mankind today, and that's social and racial injustice. With that in mind, my topic is from emancipation to truth, reconciliation, and forgiveness in 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Who am I to think that I can say something today that will have an impact on my society? I'm not anyone important, famous, or anything like that. I'm simply Dwayne Robinson from San Antonio, Texas. I will say this, I do have something in common with Jeff Bezos, the richest man in America. We both have a tool that is very powerful, important, and impactful, and that is our right to vote. The only way that his right to vote is more important or more impactful than mine is if I choose not to use it. Given a little historical context to my title, President Abraham Lincoln, about 157 years ago, issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slaves. And we must give him credit for issuing this Emancipation Proclamation. However, make no mistake about it, Lincoln's number one task was to preserve the Union. With that in mind, historians have said that the Civil War was the unfinished business of the Revolution and the Constitution. And yet today that business is still incomplete. There are still obstacles to overcome before all Americans are truly equal. So if the Civil War was the defining moment in history of our country of over 150 years ago, this time right now, is the current task and defining moment of this current generation. Truth and Reconciliation. In his book, No Future Without Forgiveness, Archbishop Desmond Tutu recounts what President Nelson Mandela was thinking when he was freed from Robben Island and he became the president of South Africa. His biggest thought and concern was, how do I bring my country together? All people. How do we come together as one country? And they looked at three models. One was the Nuremberg trials, which were conducted in Germany as a result of the Nazis and what was done to the Jewish people, where they had trials, and if an individual was found guilty, in some cases that individual could actually even be killed. Then there's the option with a blanket amnesty or a national amnesia, where we just assume and we act like all of these atrocities never happened. The third was an amnesty. And with that amnesty, individuals could come before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and as long as they made a full disclosure about the crimes for which they were seeking amnesty, they could be essentially forgiven of these crimes. Today in our country, in the United States, I think, and I would suggest to you that we really need to look at this model of truth and reconciliation. If we look at our two countries, that being South Africa and USA, and we did a comparison on some things, and we took, for example, mass murders. They've happened in South Africa, they happened in the United States of America. Police killings happen in South Africa and the United States. Economic suppression, both countries. Access to quality of education, same problem, both countries. If I reflect for a moment a little bit more on Archbishop Desmond Tutu and his role with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, it must be noted that he also was the chair of the entire commission. And one of the things that him being a man of faith, you could see he had faith in people to do the right thing. I had an opportunity about 20 years ago. He came to Trinity University in San Antonio and he spoke. And at the end of his lecture, I went up to the mic and I posed a question to him. And I said, Archbishop Tutu, I've always been fascinated with what you all did in South Africa with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So I asked him, what did we need to do in this country to do a Truth and Reconciliation piece? He looked at me and he paused and he said that we in America have a long way to go before we can have an honest conversation on race. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. More than just numbers, the number 8, the number 4, and the number 6. What we always need to try and remember about this 8 minutes and 46 seconds is that an individual lost his life, George Floyd. He was, and if you look at the time that it's taken me to do this presentation, for 8 minutes and 40 seconds, he was pinned down and could not breathe. One of the things we need to do is we need to take an honest assessment of ourselves and look at how we talk to each other. One of the things I was involved with back in San Antonio also was we had a Black, Jewish, Latina dialogue group, which I was one of the chairs. And one of the things we tried to do was break bread in each other's houses, go to our separate places of worships to try to experience all of our experiences and see what common experiences that we actually share. I remember a few weeks ago, I was watching on CNN where the Senate, the U.S. Senate had a Judiciary Committee meeting, and one of the congressmen was questioning the current U.S. Attorney General William Barr, and it was Mr. Cedric Richmond, the congressman from Louisiana, and he posed a question to Attorney General Barr, and he asked him, what did he have in common with his two predecessors, that being Attorney General Sessions and Attorney General Whitaker? With a paused look on his face, Attorney General Barr did not know how to respond. And after a few minutes, Congressman Richmond said, as you transitioned into leadership, you have no African Americans in your close cabinet. I want to close this by restating a quote that I've heard on a number of occasions, which I've tweaked a little bit for this purpose. And it goes like this: they came first for the indigenous people, and I did not speak up because I was not an indigenous person. Then they came for the African Americans, and I didn't speak up because I was not African American. Then they came for the immigrants, the migrants, the Jewish people, and I didn't speak up because I was not an immigrant, migrant, or Jewish. Then they came for the women, white, black, brown, Asian, and I didn't speak up because I'm not a woman. Then they came for the Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, and liberals, and I didn't speak up because I'm not one of them. Then they came for me, and by that time, there was no one left to speak for me.